Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This video is going to be an introduction to form validation using React Hook Form along with Sort. I've already went ahead and created a basic project using White. Let me walk you through that application. We have an app.psx where we have a couple of components where we have one is the basic form, then we have React Hook Form, and another is Sort form. The React Hook Form which we'll be creating is going to have only the React Hook Form logic and Sort form which we are also then going to create later, which is gonna basically have this React hook form along with Zod validations. Okay. But first of all, let me just show you how you would do form validation without a library like React hook form. So as you can see here, I've already went and created a basic form which has sort of interfaces like form data and form errors. And I've already created a couple of variables. One variable is mainly to keep track of the form data. Another variable, or you can say state variable, is to for keeping track of the errors. And I've also went and created a handle change for whenever any changes happens in the form, and a function called validate, which is going to be called whenever we do submit. So let me show you the HTML markup here, or template you can say. Here, as you can see, we have the form, which has couple of divs. It has a label and an input tag, and it has a value, which is we are referring to the form data to username. And similarly, we are basically using the handle change function here. And whenever there is an error, we are basically checking if there is an error which with the same name, username, and if it is there, then we are basically rendering it using an error class. Similarly for email as well as for password. For every of these fields, we are basically creating validation as you can see here. If form data dot username is there, then we have some validation, and for email we have again a regex check. And as you can see, the code is quite long for just simple, just for writing for three fields. And you can imagine writing a lot of forms like this throughout your application. So to avoid those scenarios, we can use React Hook Form library. Let me first of all give you a demo of what we already have in here. So as you can see, this is a basic form. If I try to submit, it's not going to allow me to submit. I need to type something Mohit. The first has gone, and then I can write Mohit at the rate of abc.com. Email also now should work fine. And suppose if I don't try to submit it, it's going to give me an error. And if I try to something random stuff, it's going to, this is the browser validation, which we again can stop it because we would like only our validation to be triggered using no validate. And now let me refresh it once. And let me restart it also. So I again have Mohit at the rate, submit. As you can see, it's saying email address is invalid, which we are triggering here. And let me write something here, abc.com, submit, password is Mohit. Or you can use this one. As you can see, it works fine. This is the basic form. Now we'll be trying to create something similar to this using React Hook form. So for that, let me first of all install a couple of libraries. As you can see, anyway, I've went here and copied basic template here. But let me now come and install the library as you can see from documentation. So after installing it, now most of the things is we are going to use something called use form, which is provided by React Hook form hook. Basically, it's a hook which is provided by React Hook form. Let me just copy this and come back. And I'll be trying to refer mostly to the document because honestly speaking, I can't cover everything what is provided by React Hook form. So in this way, if I well when I basically navigate through it, will help you later on to explore documentation later when you try to check it, try to add more extra functionalities from React Hook form. So for now, I don't need a lot of things like this. I'll just remove this errors here. I'll take this form straight later. For use form, I'll just import it. And for form data, I'll just copy it from here. Now what we have to do is like whenever you're trying to register, whenever basically you're trying to register any kind of inputs, like how we had done a basic form, we need to track it using use state, like in value and on change. In here also we could do something similar, but instead of that we can use a helper which is provided by reactive form, which is register function. So I can use that here. I need to remove the username here, and I'll write dot register, and I can just do get an autocomplete because I've already typed it here. And I can again write some extra validations here. With regards to validation, let me show you, it's important, I guess. The validation is somewhat like how we have HTML standard validations. You can all use these one, but later on I'll show you how you can use Zord for them as well. But for now, I can be just be using required here, as you can see in somewhere example required. Here, I'll give it a value as true, and I'll give it a message. Username is required. Something similar I'll be doing for the others also. Let me first paste them and then change the names inside each of them. Here it's going to be email, and right email is required. Similarly for password also, and password is required. Now let me write the error handling logic as well. For that, let me come back here in dev label input. Let me paste a line here. As you can see, it's somewhat like I'm just basically taking the errors here from here and just checking the username message. Let me copy this and paste for others also. And for this, I'll be using something called email dot message. We are doing password dot message. And one more thing for the email, we can write extra check, which is going to be, I think, validate, which I think, let me come back here. If it has an example, it will be better for you to follow along. Otherwise, you can just go through the MDN docs and check it out. Anyway, I'll just write it here. It's just going to have a value of the regex pattern and the message invalid format. It's saying some issue here. Regex management, validate string only. Okay, yeah, it should be a pattern instead of validate. Where it is used for something else. I'll just be keeping that for now. And now for the handle submit, first of all, like how we have done for previous form, I'll just do no validate because I would like the form validations to be triggered instead of the browser one. Then I'll write on submit. Here it might become weird for some reason if you, but just trust me on this. I'll be calling handle submit, and inside of it, I'll be calling the function which I'll be creating. I'll just give it submit for now. And it's gonna have the values, which is gonna be nothing but form data. And what I'll do is like, first of all, I'll try to make it async. So to use it later, someone, I'll just write a promise here. Which is gonna just be, I'm just creating an artificial delay here instead of using a pure backend. I'll give it a 3 seconds delay, and post that I'll just alert it. This is gonna basically call the form. And what I'll do is like there's something else called is submitting, which is provided by React Hook Form State. It has a lot more stuff, and based on your form needs, you can do is validate, is dirty, etc. I'll just skipping it for now. I'll just be using is submitting here, so that whenever the form is in the submitting state, we are not allowing the user to basically resubmit the forms again and again. So to do that, I'll just come to button and just write disabled equal to is submitting. Whenever is submitting is going on, it's going to disable it. This should work fine, but one more thing, interesting thing which React Hook Form provides is called React Devtools. It's quite interesting. Basically, you can have the DevTools here. So to use that, we need to basically come back here and just copy this line, paste it, basically install it, and then we need to import this. After importing, we need to just come back here and we need to take the control from there also. Come at the bottom and just paste it, and we need to take the control also from use form. And now I can come back to app.tsx, comment this basic form, and just uncomment the React hook form. And hopefully everything works fine, like how it is working previously. Refresh, and something broke. Let's see what it broke. What is Zod form doesn't run export 24. Okay, just for now I'll comment the Zod form, and here it should be React hook form. Yeah, I think there are some issue with the names. Refresh. As you can see, the username is coming up, and for some reason it has saved my passwords. That's why you are able to see the auto population. Let me just delete them and come back. I have deleted those passwords from my password manager, and I'm refreshing again. So as you can see, we are not having any value now. And if I try to submit, it's saying username is required, email is required, password is required, and this is coming from React hook form now. And if I try to type something, move it here, it's the error has gone. Now email, I'll just type MOH and then try again to submit it for some reason. Uh, Once again, as you can see here also, let me show you. So the email according to it is correct. Let me come back. Okay, I did a very big mistake. It should be not here. It should be here. Sorry about that. The error validation was for email, not for the password. Anyway, let me refresh it again. You might notice, like when I start typing, first of all, it makes it dirty. It's in one way, it's referring that I have interacted with the form. Basically, the user has interacted. That's why it's saying dirty as true. When I come back out or blur, you can imagine like when I tab out or basically click outside of the form, it becomes touched as true. And similarly for email also, if I come back out and try to submit it saying invalid email format, as you can see, the second has is triggering now correctly. Now I have to type it again. By default, it's not triggering for all of the on whenever I'm typing. Okay, so that's why the email did not get triggered by default. You can tweak them if you are interested using something called here, as you can see, modes. But I will be not touching them for this video at least. And if you have a password, you can type move it. And if I try submit, it's gonna give a delay of 3 seconds. Post that, as you can see, I have got the output in the alert. And I think that was it for this basic form validation. I just wanted to give you an introduction, not to overwhelm you, because there are a lot of things which you can do with React form, which I would suggest you to check out on documentation. But anyways, these validation, as you might have noticed, I have validation. It becomes clunky very fast. So there is already one library which is called Zod, which we can use it. So I'll be using that now for the next form again. So let me come back to get started. Here, uh, there is another library integrating an existing form. Let me just search for yup. So we need to first of all install. I'll not be using yup. You can use that. I'll not be using that. I'll be using Zod for this video. So we need to basically install them. And what I'll do is just copy this logic and come back to Zod form, paste it, just replace wherever RH form is there to Zod form. Let me come back to app.tsx file, comment these lines, come back and uncomment Zod form. Here again, I need to have Zod form. For Zod form, what I'll do is like, I'll just not be having these extra errors. I'll just remove them from here to here. Similarly for this also, and this also. Now we'll be basically be handling, we'll be basically introducing the, what you can say, the schema validations inside here. We need to basically create a schema. So let me just copy this and just change it for our needs. And I'll just comment this off interface form later. Why you'll realize why I've done that. But first of all, let me write Zod, and I'll be having username, and that will be string, and that is gonna be having a, I think, minimum length. I'll give it how much? One, because I want it to be required. What happens is like previously there was something called non-empty, if I recall, but that has been deprecated and it is suggesting me to use min one for at least minimum length of one. That basically means it's not an empty field. So that's why I'm using min one, and I need to basically provide an error if it's not there. So I'll just write username is required. For age, there is no age as such. I have password. That is again going to be a string with a minimum length of one, because I want the password to be required, and I'll just write password is required. I'll just remove this, and last is email, which I'll again have as a string. But since it's going to be an email, I'll just write email and I'll write the validation here also. I don't need to write a basically regex pattern here because it's provided by Zod itself directly. And before that, let me just give minimum length also to the email. Email is required, and and if the user doesn't provide a proper email or correct email, I'll just say email format is invalid. And now what you do is like you need to come back to a user form, and we need to basically tell reactor form to use these validations instead of the previous ones. So what I'll do is like come back here, write resolver. I think it should be an option. Zod resolver. This again is coming from the library which we have imported previously, like hook form resolver Zod. And here I need to just pass the schema here, paste. And this should work fine. And one more thing, interesting thing which Zod provides is like basically you can create types out of your schemas. So it becomes very handy here. Like let me create the same type which you already have. It was an interface, but I'll be using type here. So I'll write Z infer, it should be what? Type of schema. This is the form data. And again, now as you can see, we are getting a proper types. And I think that is it. Let me just see if everything works fine. Refresh it. And just to be clear, let me again show it to you. We are now using Zod form, which is coming from here instead of the reactor form. Let me come back. Let me type Mohit. Email is required. So I'll write Mohit. Email format is invalid. So I'll again write mohitabc.com. Password is Mohit and submit. There was a delay and it should come now fine. As you can see, it's working fine. Let me again refresh it, and I forgot to tell you in the previous example, but you can give default values also. And those default values I'll be showing in a synchronous way. Like you can basically have something called username, and you can move it here directly. Now if I come back and if I refresh, username is going to be auto-populated. And you can make it asynchronous also. Basically, you can have a function. I'll not be showing that, but you can have a function and you can basically call an API and get the data from there and paste the data here. So you can do that. I'll just keep it the previous Mohit one. So I think this was it for this whole video, I guess. I just wanted to give a basic introduction of it because honestly speaking, reactive form is quite big and documentation also quite nice. So I would suggest to check out documentation for different things. And forms as a whole is very complicated topic. You can have very customized forms. You can have your own form builders also. So I would again suggest you to check out the documentation. It would help you out a lot in the long run. And you can check out this whole code, whatever I have written in this video, in the YouTube description below. And hope to see you in other videos as well. And bye.